Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have a few topics here to discuss in this video, and the first one has to do with Belgium, the United States, Venezuela, Russia and the narco-state. Lavrov claims that, or at least suggests, that the United States of America should be focused on another narco-state, not on Venezuela, and that is Belgium. That's the first topic. The second topic, Trump says that the United States of America no longer funding Ukraine. That means US doesn't give funds to Ukraine at all. But who gives? And under what kind of schemes? I will let you know. Trump praises Syria's quote-unquote tough guy leader after White House visit. Well, I tell you this. When you read, or I read at least, this kind of articles where a former, jihadist, terrorist, sanctioned everything you want, gets such a pass by the promoters of freedom, democracy, justice, and so on, it makes me think, why do I pay taxes? Why do they arrest me if I don't pay taxes? They will arrest me. If I don't pay taxes, they will arrest me. They put me in jail. What if, let's say, I drive a car at the speed limit they say I should drive? Why do I follow the law? I'm just asking. If this guy at the highest stage of the world, with the White House, with the Kremlin, with the European Union, they forget and blackwash a guy's past like that with no accountability, why do I need to be this guy's slave? We're going to discuss that one. Yes, the Syrian president, the president of Syria, unelected but promoted by you know whom, he visited the White House by the leader of the free world. Now, if you would say, or you have this little comeback, well, he went to the Kremlin first. Well, we are told that the Kremlin is a tyranny, a dictatorship. They are not the free world. We are. So we embrace the same criminal as those guys embraced. So that means what? All right, next one. There's going to be a war between Pakistan and India. There's going to be a war. I don't know how to what level. Both are nuclear armed. But the West, the Brits and the Americans are pushing for India to fall or to get in line and stay in line and follow orders. A car blast in Pakistan now, after what, yesterday or 2 days ago was in New Delhi in India. So who do you think did this? Was it the MI6? Was it the CIA? Was it the Pakistanis? Was it the Indians? Who are those guys? Who are the guys who would benefit, que bono, out of a war between this controlled war? Because they don't like, they being NATO, the guys in charge of NATO, they don't like an all war with nuclear weapons. No. We want to destroy one another, fix things for us, and then we come and reconstruct, and again, we conquer you. We keep you under our line and our boot. This is what's going on in Pakistan. Pakistan is the US's jackal. Oh my God, I'm losing my voice. Jackal, I will tell you. Now, India focusing on terror angle in Delhi blast, Russia Today. And the United States of America tries to break the line of the new formed club, the BRICS. So they try to impose sanctions, do deals, promise. It's like how should I put it, a criminal with a long history, a criminal history of lying, cheating, killing, abusing, whatever, comes and promises someone, in this case China, I will make a deal with you and I will keep my promise. And China is going to be, okay, shu, chang kong chu, exactly. That's exactly what the Chinese and the Indians. After this guy Al Capone has this kind of record of breaking contracts and whatever you want, bombarding whomever doesn't stay in line, do you think China and India should make a deal with this guy? Well, it says here the top Chinese refinery cuts Russian crude after Trump-era sanctions hit Rosneft. So the Chinese are afraid? the Chinese look at their interest, the interest should not be the US. The US will get them after Russia, and they should know this. And the last one, India, again, doesn't follow orders from Al Capone, therefore must be destroyed. And Trump is telling us that US inching closer to trade agreement, Trump says. What do you think that would entail? What do you think that would mean? That would mean that the Indians will not buy, the Indian companies, Indian private companies will not buy Russian oil, refine it and sell it on the world market. Why? Because that country over there tells them, if you do that, that I will hurt you. And in the meantime, let's sign a trade agreement. This is not even George Orwell could imagine such a reality. Inversion, I have to invent a word for what's going on right now. I call it the era of plunder. US era of plunder for resources. This is what it is right now. But hey, let's go to the first topic. Russia Today. United States should fight drugs in quote-unquote narco-state Belgium instead of Venezuela. Yeah, but Belgium doesn't have oil, or at least doesn't have the biggest oil reserves on this planet. And Venezuela, Belgium is already under occupation, is owned. They don't have to do anything with Belgium. If they tell Belgium, you guys take all the real Belgians and send them, to Zimbabwe, they will do it. And then you say, people from Zimbabwe, from my friends, we bring them to Belgium, they will do it. The Belgian government would do that. Not at the orders of the Al Capone. I guarantee you that. So Belgium, what? And they said it's a narco-state. Is Lavrov right, or is just pulling this guy's leg? Show the hypocrisy on their claims. Washington strikes on alleged smuggler boats are unlawful. We all know that. The Americans don't care. American government, just so you know. The Russian foreign minister has said, you can say, well, just because Lavrov says it doesn't make it true. Correct, but you don't have half of a brain to think what's going on over there. Where's the due process? Anywhere. If tomorrow they designate you, Gigi, as a narco-terrorist, they can strike your car as you drive to, see your children's, dance at school. They would strike you and they will tell all of us that you are a terrorist, a narco-terrorist. And we will believe them as you believe them right now. No due process, no evidence, nothing. It's just your car blown up. What would you think? What would you say then? Nothing, because you're going to be flying over there somewhere. Never come back. The US would be better off targeting Belgium, recently described as an emerging narco-state by one of its own judges, rather than bombing small vessels off the coast of Venezuela. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said on Tuesday. Speaking at the press conference, Lavrov denounced the maritime airstrikes authorized by the administration of US President Donald Trump, which Washington claims are aimed at drug smugglers operating in the Caribbean. The foreign minister called the attacks, and I'm quoting, act taken without due process. I think so. That demonstrate how the US, and I'm quoting, places itself above the law. Nothing new here. And I'm quoting, rather than targeting Nigeria and Venezuela with anti-drug operations and parentheses, potential seizures of oil fields, that's the whole goal, the US should probably focus on eradicating this social ill in Belgium, Lavrov said. And I'm quoting again, the US already has troops there and will not have to chase after small boats with crews of 3 people each. Lavrov was referring to a recent statement by a Belgian judge who wrote to the parliament that, and I'm quoting, mafia-like structures have taken root in the country and that it is not an exaggeration to say, are we evolving into a narco-state? So, we know it's Venezuelan people's oil. And as I said, if Maduro tomorrow says, I'm out, just leave me in peace, send your things, plunder our country, Maduro will be in the White House within a month. After all, the terrorist from ISIS is in the White House. So what will be the difference between Maduro and the other guy? I think the other guy is worse, but hey, that's me. Right? That's one of the issues here. And besides, why do we need oil? I thought we go with the green energy, and renewable and all that. Well, you know how things are here. But I will tell Lavrov this. Instead of making this kind of jokes and being funny, why don't you send, I don't know, a few Russian vessels, if you have them, or 1 or 2 submarines over there, and a few airplanes and some air defense systems and some offense weapons. I would do that. That would be the greatest way to make sure these baboons will never touch Venezuela. That would be great. And the same the Chinese should do, and the Iranians. If they can, but they won't. So words mean nothing, and these jokes are funny for a while. But in reality, these guys will destroy those guys. Will tell them what to do, because they put a stamp, you are a narco-state. Right? Like they could tell you, you are, I know, national security threat. Tomorrow, no evidence. Or they could invent a word, which is a bad word. Let's say, zuzu. They will designate you as a zuzu. And based on the designation of the zuzu, and the definition is you're a bad dude, they don't even have to go into details. The baboons in this country and everywhere else, they don't need details. They need zuzu, bad dude. That's all. That's all these guys require with their backbone. The brain is an appendix to most of us. All right, I include myself. Okay, just to be all-inclusive buffet. Next one. Trump claims U.S. no longer funding Ukraine. Says money now flows through NATO. Good. So how does the scheme work? Ukraine is a proxy war against Russia in order to plunder it and subdue it and maybe break it, take its nuclear weapons and its valuables. In plain sight, under the name of Zuzu. Remember? Bad dude? That's it, man. That's all you need to know. And they don't want to do it with themselves because they're too strong. You know, strong people send other people to fight for them. That's how all strong people do in their world, in the bazaar world. Where I come from, the biggest guy push everybody to the side and fuck everybody else. And then, who's next? Who do you have? Bring him here. You want all together? Come on, all of you at the same time. This is how a strong person talks. But no, the Americans are smart, which is I'm strong, but I'm gonna send Ukraine against the Russians, Syria against these guys, Iraq over there, Libya over there. I'm fighting always with NATO together. I'm going to send these guys. I mean, come on. We're not in a kindergarten anymore, are we? Long time ago. Some of us evolved, if you know what I mean. That means improvement. So these guys are funding the war. You guys are enslaving your nations, your population, by borrowing money in the name of that proxy war that we're going to benefit, the Anglo-Saxon world, not the French or the Belgians or something, okay? And you're going to buy our product, our weapons. We don't fund it. Our private arms companies will get fatter because they're not donors. The arms manufacturing companies in America are not donors. No. Lockheed Martin, no. You can't compete with Goldman Sachs and others, which are the bankers, the other ones. So these guys are going to borrow money, the countries, Germany, who works in a deficit, let's put it, economic stagflation right now, is going to borrow the money, buy the weapons from the American private companies that, how do you call it, campaign donations to the politicians who, when they get in power, they have nothing to do with starting wars to pay back these guys. And they're going to buy it, borrowing the money, and then who's going to pay for that borrowed money? I tell you, the German people will buy for that. So buy it. Thank you very much. And that's how the racket is. But Trump says, we don't fund the Ukraine war. This is even worse than that. This is a jackal operation, mafia style. And let me show you why we are slaves and others are not. When a law or a rule is a rule, supposedly, we're all equal, right, in front of the law. And now, some people are a little bit more equal than others. In this case, this guy, the reformed jihadist, without paying for his crimes. No, he is like, I don't know, as I always give you this, Gigi was a, I don't know, rapist. Many times, all right? He did that. And then he reformed, and now he's a judge, presiding over rape cases. Now he's a judge, but he never been to prison for her crimes. He just reformed. So let's say you were a criminal, and then all of a sudden you say, guys, I was a criminal, but I'm reformed. Oh, thank you very much, Emil. Come over here, sit with us. Who's us? Criminals. Okay? Capisci? Let's move on. Trump praises Syria's tough guy, leader after White House visit. This guy right here with Trump. Can you, I mean, don't get me wrong, man. This is fantastic. Fantastic. This is ABC 123. When Trump was the candidate in 2016, or for the elections in 2016, and he eventually won, okay? Why do you say won? Because he was selected for us to, confirm their selection. That's our elections in America, through the electronic voting machines. We're gonna change it, what the fuck? Okay, put that over there. All right, so then these guys, I'm not saying they were rigged whatsoever, are the fairest elections in the world in America. I'm just saying they are with electronic machines, and electronic and computer programs could not be altered ever, could not be made in a certain way. No. All right, so this picture right here is very revealing even for the imbeciles to understand they are paying taxes to a criminal government, I would say. Why? That guy was not held accountable for his crimes. He just says, I'm reformed, and I invite him to the White House. Who does that? Now, this is not the first time. This is not the first time when the American government, the government of peace and love and justice, invited and supported terrorists and tyrants. I don't have to give you even the Middle East or in the South America. Many of them. When those guys became a little bit big-headed, sent CIA, work him out and out with the guy. Like, for instance, they try to do to Modi right now in India. Here you have. US extends pause on Syria sanctions. Why? Look at this. Where do I begin to tell the story of our loveless cranberry? That's exactly what's going on here. Have a kiss. Next. Dozen dead in car blast in Pakistani capital. State officials say at least 12 people were killed and 27 injured in a suicide attack outside an Islamabad court. Why? Because... not there. Right there. India focusing on terror angle in Delhi blast. Russia Today sources. So this happened, yesterday or whatever? Security agencies have foiled a spat of terror-linked plots across the country in the past month. And this what happened. Right there. Indian authorities are focusing on a terrorist motive as potentially being behind the blast that claimed the lives of at least 12 people in Delhi on Monday, yesterday. Sources have told Russia Today. And today, dozen dead in car blast in Pakistani capital. I have to tell you, and let me show you a map. These guys were at war, and both of them have nuclear weapons. And if they're not kept under control, or don't keep themselves under control, we're gonna be like screwed up, let's put it this way, or at least they would be, right? So obviously this is India right here and Pakistan next to it in here. So these are the guys, Pakistan here, India here. This is both nuclear armed countries. Who benefits? The Russians? The Russians are doing excellent. Putin is going to visit Modi next month in December by the end of the year. So who wants to destroy that one? Well, I think the Brits, the Americans, and many others from the West. Do you think from the East? Possible. All right, let's go to the next one. I think shit will hit the fan when these guys are going to get at it. I think this could have been organized by both. I'm not saying it is. Could have been orchestrated by Pakistan, and now the Indians doing the same thing to these guys, saying, keep doing it, we're going to do it to you back. We'll see how you report this blast. The way you report it, we're going to report yours. We're going to show blame, like the moon landing. Do you think the Soviets and now the Russians, why do you think they keep their mouth shut about the US moon landing? Because they were with Gagarin in space, right? Gagarin and Leica and all the Sputnik. It's a convention, an understanding. You know, I believe that Americans went to the moon, but all of a sudden we lost interest, man, and we can't do it. It's too costly now in 2025, but it was in the program in 1960s. And you just start the program under Kennedy. Yeah, one day we're going to put a man in the moon, and at the end of the decade, whoop, the Americans are on the moon, filmed how they land. By whom? The fucking aliens? I'm not going to go into that, nevertheless. Let's go and see how these guys here try to break the line of BRICS. Top Chinese refinery cuts Russian crude after Trump-era sanctions hit Rosneft, Lukoil. both of them. China's Yangchang petroleum refinery dropped Russian oil from its latest crude purchase tender, covering deliveries from December to mid-February. The refinery located in the landlocked northern province of Shanxi has previously bought Russian oil regularly, typically one cargo per month. That's not a lot. One trader noted that the shipments were usually ESPO blend from the Far East of so-called crude. That's the first one. So you think the sanctions will have the Chinese believe the, how do you call this, how are those liars called that are always lying? What do you call them, man? Perpetual, not perpetual liars. Or a criminal that does the crime all the time. Offenders. I can remember how the word is called. Let me think about it. Could be habitual, but I'm looking for something else. But nevertheless, here it is. Let's go to the last one. Again, India and US inching closer to trade agreement. Will the trade agreement mean that India will not buy Russian oil? The president has said Washington and New Delhi are working on a fair deal. No, the fair deal will mean this. You do what I tell you. Or, at this moment, until we take care of Russia, we're going to drop our demands a little bit. It's going to be a fair deal. Once Russia collapses, then we come back and fuck you up. That's how it's going to be. Do you think the Indians are baboons in this case? Do you think the Chinese don't know that? So the thing with that company doesn't buy the Russian oil. Modi is going to buy American liquefied natural gas or whatever they want to buy. They're not going to buy the Russian anymore. They understand that these guys cannot be trusted. After all, they invited a former terrorist without being punished. Now the president of a country, unelected, but elections could be fixed with no problem everywhere, except United States of America and Israel. All right, my friends, here it is. Thank you very much for being with me again today. They try, but they should know. India and China should know they are next. I don't know what they were promised. After all, Modi is old, Xi Jinping is old, so you want to be, giving your country and your nation to these guys' interest? That you never saw their faces? You can look, in certain bazaars and understand who's who and what's what. Is that what they want to do? I guess that's the way we are, my friends. Selling our families if it's something good for us only. I don't think the Chinese or the Indians operate that way, though. I don't think they are so cold-hearted in that department. After all, they have long-standing civilizations compared with, you know what I mean. Thank you very much for being with me again today. It doesn't mean it's impossible. I didn't say that. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.